We grow up being told to be kind, be the bigger person, turn the other cheek, keep the peace, make everyone feel comfortable. We wear kindness like armor, but often that armor isn't protection. It's a prison. We say yes when everything inside us screams a no. We stay quiet when our hearts beg us to speak. We smile when we're crumbling. We let people take more than they give because we've been convinced that kindness means endurance. But what they never taught us, what no one warned us about, is this: kindness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-betrayal. Let that sink in. Because that smile you force when someone crosses the line, that soft "it's okay" when you've been hurt deeply, that way you let someone speak over you or use you or disregard your needs because they didn't mean to. That's not grace. That's not compassion. That's not strength. That is you abandoning you. And we do it not because we are weak, but because we are wired for connection. We want to be loved. We want to belong. And somewhere along the way, we were taught that the price of love is self-erasure, so we become who people want us to be. We make ourselves easy to digest. We become agreeable, adaptable, good, and we call it kindness. But kindness rooted in fear is not kindness. It is fear wearing a polite face. It is fear in a dress shirt, smiling through gritted teeth, saying, sure, I don't mind," while your soul whispers, "I do." You are not being kind when you let someone walk all over your boundaries. You are being afraid of what will happen if you say, "That's not okay with me." You are not being kind when you constantly put others ahead of yourself to the point of burnout. You are afraid of being called selfish. You are not being kind when you let disrespect slide again and again because you don't want to start a conflict. You are afraid of being alone. Let's be real. That isn't strength. That isn't healing. That's survival. And here's what no one says out loud. You cannot keep betraying yourself and expect to feel whole. You cannot keep silencing your truth and expect to feel seen. You cannot keep saying yes to others and a no to yourself and call that kindness. Because at some point, your body keeps the score. Your soul starts to ache. Your relationships start to rot from the inside out, built on performance instead of presence. You begin to resent the very people you are trying to protect. And worst of all, you forget who you really are. This is the part no one tells you. When you abandon yourself to be kind to others, you teach the world that your needs don't matter, that your voice can be muted, that your time is not valuable, that your emotions are negotiable, and it's not their fault. They're simply learning from you. Let that land. You teach people how to treat you. And when you set no boundaries in the name of kindness, you become a mirror for your own disregard. Here's the truth. Real kindness requires courage. It is not the path of least resistance. It is not about making everyone happy. It is about being true. True to your values, true to your capacity, true to your intuition, true to what your spirit is asking of you. Real kindness says, I care about you, and also I care about me. I can be compassionate without being a doormat. I can love you without letting you harm me. That I can forgive, but I will not forget who I am. Boundaries are not walls. They are the bridges to honest connection. They says where I begin and where you end. They say I will show up fully, but I will not abandon myself in the process. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it feels unnatural at first. Yes, your hands will shake when you speak that boundary. Yes, some people won't like it, but that's okay because your job is not to be liked. Your job is to be real. You were not born to be small. You were not made to be invisible. You are not here to be the emotional sponge for everyone else's wounds while yours stay bleeding. You are here to stand in your truth, even when it's messy. even when it's misunderstood, even when it means disappointing people. Because betraying others is painful. But betraying yourself is soul-destroying. And let me tell you something else. The people who truly love you will rise when you rise. They will lean in when you stop performing. They will respect your no. They will celebrate your boundaries. They will grow with you. And those who fall away, let them fall. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to stop abandoning yourself for crumbs. Kindness is beautiful. Kindness is necessary, but only when it includes you, only when it flows from a heart that is full, not one that is running on fumes, only when it is anchored in truth, not fear. So the next time you feel the pull to be kind at your own expense, I want you to pause and ask, am I being kind or am I being afraid? Am I honoring them or am I betraying me? Am I choosing connection or am I sacrificing my soul for approval? You deserve to be loved without conditions. You deserve to speak your truth without guilt. You deserve to exist without apologizing for your boundaries. Kindness is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of integrity. It is not about pleasing. It is about living. It is not about being it is about being whole. So please, don't abandon yourself in the name of kindness. Don't smile when you're breaking. Don't say yes when you mean no. Don't be quiet when your soul is roaring. Be kind, but let that kindness start with the one person who has walked with you through everything. You. Somewhere along the line, we were sold a dangerous lie that being nice is the highest virtue. That if we smile enough, stay agreeable, make everyone else comfortable, even at the cost of our own truth, then we are doing life right. We were told to be polite instead of powerful, to avoid conflict at all costs, to make peace even when our hearts were at war, to stay soft in a world that's often cruel, to nod, to accommodate, to be liked. But let me say something loud, and I want it to echo inside you. Being nice is not the same as being brave. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite, because niceness, the kind so many of us were raised on, is often nothing more than fear with a smile on its face. Fear of being disliked, fear of being too much, fear of taking up space, fear of rocking the boat, even when the boat is heading straight for the edge. We wear niceness like a costume. We say the right thing, even when it's not our truth. We stay quiet to avoid confrontation. We hide our anger because it's not a ladylike, not a spiritual, not a professional. We keep relationships alive long after they've expired because we don't want to hurt anyone. But the truth is, niceness often comes at the cost of our integrity, and it's not sustainable because there's a difference between being kind and being compliant, between being compassionate and being cowardly, between keeping peace and avoiding truth. Being brave is something else entirely. Being brave is saying what needs to be said, even when your voice shakes. Being brave is setting boundaries, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Being brave is choosing authenticity over approval. Being brave is telling the truth, not because it's easy, but because your soul depends on it. Bravery looks like, no, I'm not okay with that. It hurt when you said that. I need space right now. I can't keep doing this. I disagree. This isn't working. I matter too. Bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quietest moment in the room, the moment you choose yourself. It's the moment you stop apologizing for who you are. It's the moment you stop laughing at jokes that cut you. It's the moment you stop performing. It's the moment you stop saying, I'm fine, when you're not. We don't need more nice people. We need more real people. We need more brave people. People who are willing to stand in their truth even when it shakes the ground beneath them. People who know that true connection can only be built on honesty, not on people pleasing. People who are willing to risk discomfort for the sake of freedom. Because niceness might get you approval, but it won't give you peace. Niceness might help you fit in, but it won't help you feel seen. Niceness might protect others, but it won't protect your spirit. You can be kind and still speak your truth. You can be compassionate and still have hard conversations. You can be loving and still walk away. This is the kind of strength we need to cultivate, not the strength to endure, but the strength to express, not the strength to please, but the strength to be. Let me be clear. Kindness is not weakness. Vulnerability is not weakness. But when a niceness becomes a mask we hide behind to avoid our own discomfort, it becomes a cage. And here's the wake-up call. Every time you choose niceness over truth, something inside you dims. Every time you bite your tongue to avoid tension, you swallow a part of your spirit. Every time you say yes to avoid being judged, you say a no to your own boundaries. And slowly, you start to vanish. I want you to imagine this. Imagine a version of yourself that speaks up, that shows up, that honors your needs, that walks into the room without shrinking, that tells the truth even if your hands tremble. That version of you isn't a rude. She's not a cold. She's not a selfish. She is free. She is whole. She is brave. And she doesn't trade her voice for validation. She doesn't sacrifice her peace for politeness. She doesn't betray herself just to be accepted. Because she knows being nice might get applause, but bravery gets respect. Being nice might make others comfortable, but bravery makes you come alive. It won't always be easy. When you stop being a nice one, people will notice. They'll push back. They'll call you a difficult, a moody, too intense. Let them, because what they're really saying is, you're no longer bending over backwards for my comfort. You're no longer dimming your light for me. You're no longer easy to control. And that is not your problem. Your job is not to manage the discomfort of others. Your job is to live in truth, to breathe in authenticity, to choose your voice over their expectations. The world needs your boldness more than it needs your niceness. It needs your honesty more than your diplomacy. It needs your fire more than your politeness. It needs your bravery. So the next time you feel the urge to smile through the sting, to say yes when you mean a hell no, to sugarcoat your truth so someone else doesn't squirm, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, am I being nice or am I being brave? Because you don't owe the world your niceness, but you do owe yourself your truth. And that truth, that's where the freedom is. That's where the healing begins. That's where the real you rises. Be kind, be bold, be true, be brave. But don't just be nice. You were made for more than that. You can't please everyone. And if you try, you will lose the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. We don't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to betray myself so others can like me. No, it happens slowly. Quietly, almost invisibly. We start by biting our tongue when something doesn't sit right. We downplay our opinions. We ignore that tight feeling in our chest when we're being overlooked, dismissed, disrespected. We become masters of morphine, shape-shifting into whatever the moment demands. We give compliments we don't mean. We laugh at jokes that sting. We pretend not to notice the little ways we're shrinking, because if they're happy, maybe we'll be safe. If they approve, maybe we'll finally be enough. If they accept us, maybe we'll feel like we perform. We people please. We become hyper-attuned to what everyone else needs while we silence what we need. But here's what no one tells you. People-pleasing is not generosity. It's self-abandonment dressed up as virtue. It is rooted not in love, but in fear. Fear of being too much. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being called selfish. fear of being left. And you want to know how this story ends? It ends with resentment. It ends with exhaustion. It ends with a version of yourself that barely recognizes the person in the mirror. Because here's the truth. You can spend your entire life chasing the approval of others and still be empty, still be unseen, still be misunderstood. You can give your whole heart, your whole schedule, your whole soul. And some people still won't clap for you, still won't value you, still won't choose you. And that realization can break your heart. But it can also set you free, because once you understand that you cannot control other people's comfort, their love, their opinions, you finally realize you don't have to keep losing yourself to earn them. Pleasing everyone is a losing game because everyone is a moving target. They want you to be bold until your boldness intimidates them. They want you to be helpful until you ask for something in return. They want you to be kind until your kindness turns into truth they're not ready to hear. And so you bend and bend until one day you realize you've bent so far, you've broken. You've built a life around being liked, but not loved. You've built relationships based on performance, but not presence. You've built a self-image out of borrowed pieces, what they wanted, what they praised, what they needed from you, but none of it was you. Let me say this clearly. You don't owe anyone a version of you that isn't real. You don't have to be less to be loved. You don't have to agree to be accepted. You don't have to dim your fire so others can feel warm. You owe yourself the truth. You owe yourself authenticity. You owe yourself the sacred permission to take up space. The moment you stop trying to please everyone is the moment you begin to return home to yourself. And yes, people will notice. They'll say, you've changed. They'll say, you're not as nice as you used to be. They'll say, you've got an edge now. What they really mean is, you're no longer easy to manipulate. You're no longer putting my comfort above your peace. You're no longer pretending. Let them talk. Because your soul has been quiet long enough. This is the turning point. This is the moment you get to choose. Will you keep chasing applause? Or will you stand still and listen to the voice inside you that's been whispering, I miss you? There's a difference between connection and approval. Approval is conditional. It's exhausting. It's fleeting. But connection comes when you show up as you are, not as you're expected to be. Connection starts when you stop pleasing and start being. Let go of the role. Let go of the script. Let go of being the fixer, the peacekeeper, the good girl, the dependable one who never has needs. Let go of needing everyone to like you. Let go of chasing acceptance. Because the moment you release their expectations is the moment you'll finally be able to breathe, to rest, to rise. And will it be hard? Yes. You'll feel guilty. You'll feel selfish. You'll feel alone sometimes. But on the other side of that discomfort is something you've been craving your whole life. Freedom. The freedom to say a no and mean it. The freedom to be misunderstood and survive. The freedom to not be invited and still feel worthy. The freedom to speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. The freedom to show up, fully you, unapologetic and unpolished. That kind of freedom doesn't come from people pleasing. It comes from reclaiming your power. It comes from letting go of the illusion that your worth lives in their opinion. It comes from remembering you were never born to be pleasing. You born to be whole. So if you're tired of the pressure, the pretending, the performing, this is your invitation. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. Start being loved by someone far more important, yourself. We were raised to believe that kindness meant keeping the peace. That compassion meant softening the blow. That love meant not hurting anyone's feelings, even if it meant swallowing our own truth. But I want to tell you something today, something that may feel like a contradiction to everything you were taught. Telling the truth, even when it's hard, is one of the greatest acts of love. Truth telling is the real form of compassion, because telling someone what they want to hear isn't love. It's fear, disguised as protection. It's fear wrapped in politeness. It's fear dressed in emotional perfectionism. But when you love someone deeply, fiercely, truly, you don't just give them comfort, you give them honesty, even if it stings, even if it shakes the room, even if it changes everything. Because truth wakes people up. It saves them from illusions. It gives them the opportunity to grow. And isn't that what love is supposed to do? We've confused truth with cruelty and silence with kindness. But silence isn't always sacred. Sometimes silence is self-preservation at the cost of real connection. Sometimes silence is a way of saying, I don't trust you with my truth, and I get it. Telling the truth is scary. It makes you vulnerable. It opens doors you may not be ready to walk through. It risks rejection, judgment, loss. But do you know what it risks most of all? Your integrity. Because every time you bite your tongue to keep things calm, every time you pretend something's fine when it's not, every time you nod instead of speak, you chip away at your own self-respect. And real compassion doesn't require that sacrifice. You can be loving and still honest. You can be compassionate and still clear. You can be gentle and still firm in your truth. In fact, the most powerful words often come wrapped in love and fire. It sounds like, I care about you too much to lie. I love you enough to tell you this might not be working. You want something deeper than performance and pretend. This isn't sustainable for me, and I need to be honest about it. I can't hold this inside anymore. It matters too much. That is courage. That is connection. Because truth isn't a weapon. Truth is medicine. And yes, medicine can burn going down, but it heals. When you tell the truth, you create the possibility for real healing, for real relationship, for real change. You bring yourself to the table, not just the version that keeps everyone comfortable. And yes, not everyone will like it. Not everyone will stay. Not everyone will understand. But that's not your job. Your job is not to manage other people's emotions at the expense of your own truth. Your job is to show up real, even when your voice shakes. Your job is to speak what is honest and hard and holy. That is the deepest form of compassion you can give to others and to yourself. Let me say this again. Truth-telling is compassion, not cruelty, not selfishness, not aggression. It's saying, you matter to me enough to be real with you. It's saying, I won't fake a connection that doesn't exist. It's saying, I won't participate in a relationship built on pretending. It's saying, I love you, but I won't lie for you or to you. And if that makes someone uncomfortable, good. That's where growth begins. That's where trust is built. That's where the shallow surface is finally broken through. The deepest relationships are not built on avoidance. They're built on truth. They're built on that moment when someone says, this is hard to say, but I need to say it. They're built on that moment when you risk being misunderstood for the sake of being real. And this doesn't just apply to others. It applies to how we speak to ourselves. Because some of the most dangerous lies we tell, we whisper inside. We say, I'm fine when we're not. I can handle it when we're breaking. This is what I want when it's not. This doesn't bother me when it cuts deep. We numb, we deny, we perform, and we call it strength. But it's not strength, it's survival. And at some point, survival starts to look a lot like self-betrayal. You deserve to tell yourself the truth too. You deserve to say, I'm not okay. You deserve to admit when something doesn't feel right. You deserve to stop carrying stories that aren't yours to carry. and you deserve to be heard first by you. Because you cannot demand truth from others while lying to yourself. You cannot build honest relationships while hiding from your own reflection. You cannot hold space for others' authenticity while ignoring your own. So tell the truth. Tell it with love. Tell it with trembling hands. Tell it when it's inconvenient. Tell it when it threatens your image. Tell it when it's easier to stay quiet. Because telling the truth is the first step toward real peace, not comfort, not approval, not applause, but peace, the kind that lives deep in your bones. Because you stood in your truth. Because you said what needed to be said. Because you chose integrity over intimacy that wasn't real. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be liked. You just need to be honest. And that, my friend, is compassion in its truest, most courageous form.